we had to review it, I would say put the record on, and I don't have to say a word.
I would say a lot of people would say that it was a form of departure for Aerosmith, but I think if you listen real close, you'll hear a lot of Aerosmith that's been lying dormant for years, as in permanent vacation. You get it now?
I got it.
Well, yeah. No. That's something that has been lying dormant for. Well, we haven't. When you create something from the get-go, it's usually something that's been laying in a back pocket somewhere on the back burner. That's what I mean by lying dormant. And I think that we got a chance on this album. We found a couple neat pockets that were just loaded with. After we got finished with it, we piled a ton of stuff that we haven't done in years on it. One-way streets like Hangman. What the hell, St. John? There's a lot of grooves, derivatives. I guess, am I making sense? It's like the other side of that coin is the departure end of it all is maybe clarifying some songs where in the past we would let them go just the way they were and said, no, that's us. Let's leave it like that. Fuck it, that's cool. This song, we did 2 or 3 songs where we actually gave it a lot of thought, and that was weird for me anyway. We sussed things out in that, Boris, let's get to the chorus, Natasha. We've been famous for like with Jack Douglas, people thought we were out of our minds, but what it was is we just left it on the album. Why take that off? Joe was putting a slide on, kicked over a bottle. Leave that shit on. So when I was a kid and listened to groups, I couldn't wait for them to make what I thought was a mistake. Because, God, that was cool. They left it. Listen, you can hear him saying something. What's he saying? I mean, that makes for interesting in your line. It would be copy. For me, it would be imagery. So, that's neat shit, I think, And yeah, so we put crickets and frogs as imagery for Hangman Jury, which takes place when we wrote it on a porch in the Delta. And there's a rocking chair, and there's an old man sticking his head out the window singing, "Hey, boy, don't you lie, track-a-lacka." And there's a fucking guy playing washboard bass. I mean, there's just a lot of neat stuff if you close your eyes and listen. To me, that's what music's all about. I remember 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago, people were talking about videos, and what do you think about the shows? And my gut feeling was, fuck, I would never want to do Dream On, a video to Dream On, because it takes some of the beauty away from, what do you think that's, people ask me, what'd you write that about? And I sometimes don't want to tell them, because to each their own. I mean, my mother, when she hears Dream On, thinks something different than what my sister might think. I mean, all different people have different feelings about it. So to do it instead of a video, or to help a video out, with those sound effects and what have you, I like that. Video sucks, and when it's on the record and it can really do something that can make your mind think, I think you've got a thing going there. No, video doesn't suck.
Do videos, and it's weird about Hangman Jury because it's the only song that I can remember that we've ever done where when we were arranging it, we had this visual image in our heads of the song instead of just the sound image. Well, that's what we were picturing, is this shack out in the middle of a big plain with the wind blowing, tumbleweeds by, and it's great. I almost feel like it would be cool to do a concert, or a concert scene in a video where we're sitting there on the front porch of this shack, and then the camera draws back and there's a crowd of 50,000 people watching or something. Making the video, to as much a degree as possible, a performance video, as opposed to heavy on the fantasy footage. I would guess, actually admit to the world that you're a musician, not a video star.
If videos have to be the format, then this album, just like anything else with music, can be put to a visual. Mm-hmm. I think that's a really neat concept. When I said video sucks before, I meant that if you have to do that with a song. I personally would have never put out a video for Dream On because I feel that strong about it. I would have rather had that song because of the nature of the lyrics, and Dream On, make you think about it. That's what I had in my head the whole time. But for this song, the lyrics and the visuals, you know, it could go real good with a video. It's like custom made for it. But on the other hand, what we did with this album is that if you don't have a TV, if you've just got something to listen to your music on, which most people do in their car and here and there, they'll pick up on that visual. They won't need the TV for it. It's a setup. It's there. It's not just love and dripping clothes on a clothesline. And Bleeding Hearts. There's a story. Your love comes tumbling down. There's just neat shit all over it.
We set our own pace, and it was really a hard one this time, you know. I mean, we were in that 12, 14 hours a day, every day.
There's no bullshit scene to make. The only the thing that was happening up there was what we were doing musically, and it wasn't like there was this parallel rock scene to be part of, like, you know, in some cities, you know, where it's almost an obligation to go out to clubs and you know, hang out. It just helped us stay, you know, right on the track.
Of course, I had to charge my battery somehow. Not that I didn't have my own means, but of course, it's great. And it's, you know, not only number 5 there, but there's, you know. Yes, I did go there. In fact, that's what I live for. Yeah, it was a fun place. It was really good. Ted was busy doing. He had 2 or 3 projects going at once, and we figured, well, he's real busy. So he also said that he was doing David Lee Roth at the time, so we had to make a decision. So we just actually at the same time that we heard that Bruce was available, we heard that he wanted to do us if the bidding was there. So it worked hand in hand, and it was another one of those. He just finished doing Loverboy and Bon Jovi, and he lives up there, and he wants to go on vacation. So if we do it, let's do it now. And we got to go up there because he's got the perfect setup, and there's places you can stay and all that. So we said, okay, let's take the chance.
Well, we were thinking about Bruce for the last album, for Done with Mirrors, I think.
Well, it was a name.
Or it was one of the names that we were thinking of, and we went with Teddy on that one because Teddy is somebody that we respected from the Montrose days. You know, back when, God, that was early 70s. But for the reasons of timing and stuff, and just to try something different, we went with Bruce, and it was probably one of the smartest decisions we've made in years as far as a producer. Well, because we needed a producer that was sort of a coach, somebody that would get involved with everything that we were doing and really understand the songs, learn them. He's got a really strong musical background. He plays currently. He's a musician, so that worked out great.
Being a lyricist for Aerosmith, and the kind of artist I am is I wait till the last minute to finish a lot of things. So rather than have that pressure this time, I asked John Kolodner, who's our A&R guy from Geffen, does he know anybody that writes songs? You know, that could give me a hand with some stuff. So he suggested Desmond, who we used to know from Desmond Child and Rouge in New York City, and he flew up to Boston, and I sat down with him, and in a couple of days got to know him pretty well, and then sat down and took the attitude, let's write a hit, and we came up with Angel, and then the next day I remember I was busy, and it took me about 4 hours. I was 4 hours late, and I got to the studio, and Joe said, we got another one, and he did Heart's Done Time. So Desmond's real good. He helped me on some lyrics, so I could keep up with these guys as far as Joe Perry and his licks. You know, he's got 1 million of them. So, and when I get with him, I can turn his licks into a bit of a shell of a song. Mm-hmm. You know, and then for all the albums we've ever done together, we'll shelve it, you know. And by the time the albums were ready to go into record, we've got a lot of bits and pieces of things, you know, that aren't finished, and then I have to spend time finishing those. We'll do that, and then I'll have a whole lot of songs without lyrics, and I used to go fucking crazy. So this time I said, you know, why do that? Ask and you shall receive. I didn't know anybody that I could sit down with like these guys. I've never written with anybody but these guys. And, you know, we can sit down in a room with no instruments and come up with songs. And I never thought to do that with anybody else. And this time I did. And I actually sat down with Jim. I took my book and laid it on the floor, and we got down in the studio and came up with some really good lyrics on some songs. Oh yeah, that was funny. The song was called Ragtime, and somebody here at Geffen said, "Well, now what does that mean?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean? What does it mean?" And so he said, "The song is a smash. Why don't you try working on the just to make more sense of it?" So just to get my my talons in somebody else for the future, I figured I'd call up Holly. She was the first choice I had when he mentioned the people that he has spread around as far as writing, but I never got to her in Boston. So I said, "Come on up." She came up for a day, and we spent 10 minutes on the song. And she picked out some things that I had said before in the song and brought it to the front, and then threw in the word "hot tramp," and it was nothing, but it was a whole lot. You know, it just was that little that the song needed.
I wasn't there. I had already gone back to Boston, but I was on the. I called up one day and asked to speak to Bruce, and somebody said, "Well, he's over at the aquarium recording some whales," and I just said, "Well, I guess things must be going pretty good." Bye.
We had a rave up in the front of Hearts Done Time. It was one of those things that we were doing it at rehearsal, and Bruce said, "Wait a minute, that's great. Do that again." And Joe went, "Oh," got this fucking incredible feedback, and listening to 2 or 3 tracks of the feedback coming at you as we were pushing the faders up in the front of Hearts Done Time, it sounded like whales, and that's all we needed to do. And from there, it went to, "Hey, they got some, and let's go down." And so we got a stick, Mike Fraser. I like to call him Laser. Got a stick with a mic on the end of it, and went down to the trainer. Yeah.
Our asses over the edge of the pool. Say, "Come on over here and take a bite." And they came over and started wailing away.
Wailing away? Is that what you said?
So they said.
Wailing away.
Iron Pites. I think it might be Putz, but he was the farthest thing from it. He's the one that did bow up,
my hero.
I got when we were in Boston doing the basics, I had some ideas for horns on this album that they just had to go on. So when I brought them to Bruce, he said, "Hey, I got a bunch of guys up here." We were a little against it at first because we wanted a real horn section. So
you guys have been playing for years, though. They're Bruce's band. He's been playing with some of these guys since the beginning of his trumpeting career. Margarita horns. Really hot, They came in and that guy, what's his name, Keeley Side, he wrote up some of the charts, some of the stuff that Steven had been singing for horn parts. He wrote some of that shit down on charts, and it's always amazing to see our music put down on paper like that, and then very strange. So anyway, it's like it was really cool to see those guys go out and blow like that.
As Joe said, that when we first, I went to the barn where the jam band, when we very, very first started getting together. Joe said I went up there and, will you tell us?
Well, Tom and I were up there playing, and at this club called the Barn, and we were jamming all the time and doing our usual thrash stuff. And Steven was up there. I guess I don't know if you had left your band or what, but anyway, you were up there without a band on vacation or something, and you said you had to do get a demo tape for an audition or something. So. He asked us to play "I'm Down." So we backed him up on that. It was the first time Tom and I had ever been on tape. And I don't remember what it sounded like, but I just remember doing that song, and it was a lot of fun. And we were talking about covering a song for this record, I don't think we did last album. We've always enjoyed doing a cover. So we threw a few songs around, and I just remembered we had done "I'm Down" before, so we thought we'd try it again. Yeah, when we did it, like 1967, right? Whenever that was.
Yeah, we also did we wanted to hear or see ourselves on a record, so we did a bunch of Jeff Beck songs too. Remember that time?
Oh, yeah.
On 2-track, and then went down to Ace Recording Studios in Boston and had them make up these things called acetates, which are, records, but you can only play them about 10 times. So I didn't know that then, but yeah.
You still have yours?
Yeah, I still have it. I even made a cover for it and everything.
Could you change a Beatles song? I mean, either you do it true to form, or else you just be drifting in the wind. You know, I mean, they're just so amazing. It's really hard to cover it, you know, and get it right because they always do such a great job. They don't leave a lot of room, but just to get that feel, it's enough of a charge for us, you know.
Well, that's actually like the third Beatles song that we've covered on record. We did "Come Together," and on our live bootleg album, isn't "Helter Skelter" on there? Oh, never mind. But we used to play "Helter Skelter" live, and
Before Motley Crue.
Oh yeah, well,
long before.
Right, of course. Long before. So we did "I'm Down," and when we recorded "Come Together," we did it with George Martin in the studio with us, and we said, what would be the best way to do this? And he said, just do it off the record and take that approach. There's no real need to change it, just by the nature of 5 different musicians and 5 different, styles. It's going to be different enough.
The single will be Angel.
You mean the first one?
Yeah, that's
Oh, the first single. I don't know.
It's between, I think it's between Magic Touch and Dude. So, I was going to say a song called Dude, but just plain Dude.
What inspired that? I guess when I was a kid, when I was like 14, about 7 or 8 of us piled into the back of this car and went down to Delancey Street to get laid. And after a quick Roger Wilco, on the way back, there's this gorgeous thing walking across the street, and she got in the car.
Oh, great.
Oh yeah.
This one.
Oh, this was funny as shit, man.
I think I'll move a little further away, Steve.
And after about 5 minutes and 4 blocks later,
Get out!
you really get the fuck out of here. Youth. Yeah, she was a he, and it was really interesting. So, what with that, and also, one only has to turn MTV on, and you see all these pretty boys. Some of them look cool. Some of them look.
Bands.
It's just a little weird because they look like, holy shit, what's that? But they don't sound it, Mm-hmm. That's when I get turned off. So the dude looks like a lady. You go, instead of, I can't get behind it because we
Good for you.
Good. Yeah.
Good.
Don't try either.
I can't get behind
those motherfuckers, man.
It's hard to after touring with the Dolls and coming up with the Dolls, you look at that and you go, wow, if they could, the Dolls really said it was, they had that look down.
Oh, yeah,
So it's hard
no
for me.
question about their toughness or wherever they came from. I mean, Arthur King would wear a tutu, but you knew he was like,
Kick your ass.
no shit, man. If he could walk, he would.
Or dribble on your mother.
Yeah, I'm not kidding.
We were motivated by, the Becks and the early Stones and the Pretty Things that they did it, and that's what gave me the green flag to say, go ahead, Not that we thought, yeah, that's all I want to say.
I think that, let's see, the late 60s, there was a blues resurgence. You started getting like Muddy Waters and B.B. King like touring again a lot, like playing the same places that the English rock bands were playing. So at the same time we were getting deluged by the like Led Zeppelin and the Yardbirds and Beck playing like All Shook Up and that rock and roll blues stuff. In the same time, it made a place so you could see Johnny Winters and B.B. King on the same bill, and that's when I got turned on to it. When we get turned on going to the Tea Party and seeing those genuine blues acts, along with to see what's the fucking to see Zeppelin play the slow blues and then see have Buddy Guy playing on the same bill. I mean, that was great stuff. Plus, blues is easier to play than jazz. I mean, you can get a better sound faster when you first pick up a guitar, and you get to hear it sing about squeezing my lemon, like that, and so you get the women real fast, and the blues are happening.
Little Richard was, kind of sums it up. He had all that blues in him and the traditional stuff, and he just, it was like mutant. He just took it one step further, painted himself up, went woo, and went crazy with it, and put it through this, it came out this way. I love that. The English invasion did the same thing. In fact, some of them been quoted as saying that they found it interesting, if not strange, that when they came over here, they were accepted, and it was thought as something new when all they did was borrow from us. So, I've always been fascinated as hell by that, like the early Pretty Things. I couldn't believe it. Taylor, and the stuff they used to do, and there was a band from Germany called Rat back in '68. Along with Travis Wammack, and I had a friend named Lee Ritter when I was a kid that used to go downtown and get all these English imports. I mean, there were actually pictures on the 45 sleeves of these bands with hair down to, here, Viv Prince from the Pretty Things. Ooh, and I just love that. When I say I can't really get behind the music of Poison, I can. And I can understand why kids do today, because I did with Viv Prince. I was knocked out by that. The only thing they didn't do was wear lipstick and bras. I don't know, because the covers back then were in black and white. But boy, I was sure fucking fascinated. I was really fascinated with somebody taking music and giving it that little twist of something new, which is what Aerosmith's done. Just by virtue of sticking around all these years. Whether we knew it or not, we've taken music and given it a real nice twist.
I think personally, we're definitely closer together than we've ever been, because we've been through a lot, and the more people go through together, the closer they get. I know these guys better than my own brother, and these guys are my brothers, so making that connection helps make the musical connection, helps you take the next step musically, and so it's almost like this album is the next logical album after Rocks. Well, that was Aerosmith squirming and fighting to, find itself. And I just think of this album as the next logical step after Rocks.
Well, I think that we definitely we're closer. The walls of the alcohol and the drugs are definitely, those walls made it so it was real hard to communicate. Now those walls are broken down, and the real stuff that makes the band vital is now able to froth and bubble. The chemistry that's not it isn't distilled from corn mash or poppies. It's the other kind of chemicals that make it happen. Really happen. And I see it feels really fresh and new. And the last record, like Tom said, it was us trying to find what we do best, and I think we had a little too many preconceptions about what people wanted from us on the last record, but we were just starting to write again together. I hadn't written with Steven since 1979, I'd written 3 solo albums or whatever, the bullshit, and Steven had carried on with Aerosmith, and so getting it back together took a while, and that first album, we had to go through the way it did, there wasn't anything else. Looking back on it, there's nothing I would change, because it led to this one, and that's just the way it is. We've really gotten back to proving it to ourselves, and that's what really counts, not what anybody else wants from us, and that's the formula that's always worked the best for us.
Pertaining to the whiplash that one can get on the road from burnout, Yeah, road warp, and, no, I'm still a rock star. No, I don't put
Well, we can find the place to do it. You know what I mean? It's not like you wear it around like a big fuck you on your chest. It's like we are what we are, and but we still have time to go take a swim in the pool and not give a shit. You know what I mean? But not really have to dump on people. Like when you're young and you got to do it, you wear the clothes around because you want to be noticed all the time because you're the rock star. You know what I mean? But now we are because we are. It's like we've got the albums, we live it. And another thing is our lifestyle is so together. Our lives are so entwined, our personal lives, and we're just starting to find how to do it, and it's getting to be comfortable, you know. I think since it almost killed me, I'd recommend it to anybody else on the street. They should go and experiment on their own, and, you know, and while you're doing it, take the keys to your car and put your kids in the back, and, you know, just chug down a few shots of JD and, you know, experiment. But I'm not anti-drug, you know, I mean, yeah, I'd say we're anti-drug. I mean, we know that it's not, I've seen enough kids die from it and probably have used our, I mean, over the years, a lot of people have looked at us and said, you know, well, they're doing it, so I'm going to do it. And I don't even want to think about how many kids have OD'd, you know, because I've used drugs. So I think I could put something back into that. As far as we've done anti-drunk driving things, which is fine. I'm not going to say to people not to drink. I mean, not everybody's going to be an alcoholic, but at least do it safely, you know. But as we know from being involved in getting straight is, you know, you can't tell anybody to do anything. That people are going to do what they can do, but all I can do is hold us up as an example of, you know, being in tip-top shape and physically fit, and I can fuck all night. I don't fuck everybody. I fuck women. That's another thing. I would, you know, we were just talking about that in the last interview. I mean, I think you gotta keep in your pants a little more these days. That's all.
If you're going to go out in the range, you wear your rubbers.
Yeah. Simple. It's simple. That's how it is, you know. I mean, like, you can't turn your head and pretend it's not there, which a lot of people are doing. Especially English ones, I see them going crazy.
To say that. You think rock and roll is why? Because they let their hair down more? What about the lady in the you know, that's out in the suburbs whose husband is seeing hookers every weekend? We went down there in the middle of our last tour, and they had a drum machine going doom, jack, doom, and we said yeah, and that was it. So Joe rented a bass guitar and a lead guitar, and I sang it, and I mean, we really had no idea what we were getting into, but by the time we left there, it was like taking the masters of, what the hell album was that?
Toys in the Air.
Toys, and taking the vocals off and having those guys sing to it. In fact, it was exactly that. That's what that is. And it was a lot of fun leaving there, listening to them rap over it, which was, I mean, the lyrics are so rhythmically oriented that that's what the song, if you took the music out and just had the drum, it would almost be a rap song in itself, if there was four of me singing the same thing. So it was interesting. It was a lot of fun to, you know, to hear them. We didn't know what the hell they were going to do. When we left, yeah, they didn't know the lyrics, but it was fun. It was something that, sure, why not? Let's go do this. The song was great. How much can they ruin it?
Well, we found out. No, we had a good time because we had read. I hadn't heard about rap music till I heard it coming out of my kid's bedroom, you know, and then I knew it about rap, and we read in the Rolling Stone or something how they were quoted as saying that "Walk This Way" was like one of the first rap songs, you know, and they used the scratch to it and stuff in their show, and so like right on the heels of that came we heard they were going to cut that song, and then their manager called our manager and asked if we could do it, and it was great. We had no idea it was gonna. They weren't even sure it was gonna go on the record, you know. They just wanted to cut it as like the last side or something like that, and it turned out to be really big, but we had no idea it was gonna turn out like that.
It was just a whole lot of fun. I mean, for me, I just had a lot of fun.